Well, maybe he'll let us on tonight. What do you think? Do you think he'll let us on? He might.
Worship,
He might. He
worship
might.
our
He might.
modern
He
day
might.
Lord.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He might let us on. Let's see how that works out. It looks like we're not on, but I think we are. We are. It always says we're not, but we actually are. All right, let's record this bad boy to the clouds.
Look at you. You're like a tech guru now.
I know, isn't it cool? Well, you know what? Today's Wednesday, but it's not Whiskey Wednesday because we've gone wild. It's rum. It's Planteray.
That's
And Rich is here to lead us through Florio
Fiorillo.
Fiorillo. I always get his name
So
wrong.
many vowels. So
It's
many
got there's a
vowels.
lot of vowels
We've
in
been
there.
friends for 9 years.
I know.
He's gonna get it one
I
day.
never call you by your last name. I've called you other things, but not.
When you say wild, does the editor come in and splash like a big wild thing on the
Yes,
screen and
yes,
rum
yeah,
gets
yeah.
everywhere? All right, good.
There are no editors. We do this live. There's no post production. Can't fix anything. The only thing we can do is drink our rum and like it.
All right.
All right.
That's what I'm
So
here to
that's
help
it.
with, I guess.
Yeah, and we got a lot of rum to get to tonight. So those of you who looked at what the lineup was tonight, yeah, the hell with that. We did a whole different lineup, and we gave you more choices. We gave you better rum. So if you weren't here tonight, I'm so sorry. You missed out on a great time because even though it hasn't begun yet, it's already started off better because we were only supposed to have five, and right now we're at eight.
7 with an 8 special at the end,
Eight,
right?
yeah. We got something else there too.
Got a
So
lot cooking.
they got a lot going on. We got a lot going on. So you know what? The best thing to do is to probably start because they're going to start drinking the rum, and we're not going to have any problems anyways.
Let's do this. Let's start drinking with the first one.
Okay, so well before we get that, I've had a bunch of people ask me, and I think we need to talk about this from the get go. I have some rums up here called Plantation Rums, and I have some rums up here called Planteray, which sounds like a really cool sci-fi movie. But anyways, can you explain to everybody because this was announced about 2 years ago.
2020, essentially, right before
Yeah,
COVID. So
right before COVID.
then
That
that
the
whole
name
thing
was
happened.
changing,
Yeah.
and then we really didn't see anything happen. But all of a sudden, lately, Planteray has been
So
invading us. So
let's
what's the deal?
before we jump into that real quick, I'm just going to say hello to everyone and
Yeah.
thank you guys all for joining. Most of you may have seen me. I was just telling Ryan how much I love presenting in this room. I've actually never done a Whiskey Wednesday, but I've probably talked in this room over 50 to 60 times. Beforehand, I was selling American whiskey. It was with Heaven Hill. So 8 years later, jumping to the dark side of the rum world, right? And it makes it a lot easier to present to a room full of familiar faces. So thank you all for being here. Now, to discuss the name change. Again, this company has integrity, right? I just talk about leaving a phenomenal family-owned company who I still hold in the highest regards, and hopefully they still hold me the same way. I wasn't going to go anywhere else. I was one of our national educators flying around the world, working with Bernie Lubbers, the legend himself. I mean, who wants to stop drinking whiskey in a different city every night, right? But when a company like this comes along that has integrity, strong core values, and they truly, truly believe in what they do and produce some of the best products in the world, I mean, I always say this is kind of like your rapper's favorite rapper, right? Everyone that is in the industry appreciates what we put out, whether it be our cognacs, our gins, or our rums. And in the beginning of 2020, one of our most important markets in the world, the United States of America, the term and the name plantation means something a little bit different here than it does everywhere else. So we agreed to stick to our guns and say we're going to change the name. And pandemic shuts the world down, doesn't really allow us to help expedite things properly. But over time, we begin the whole new practice of repatenting, going through R&D of what names work, what doesn't. And then we have Planteray, which is kind of everything we do, whether it be our gin, our cognac, which is from grapes, our rum. It's a plant that's from the sun, so Planteray, right? You got to find something that's unique and special and a name that really helps you catch and hold. And we still also don't want to lose almost 20 years of brand identity at the same time. I mean, this brand launches in 99. People get to know the name Plantation. They fall in love with it. Why would we want to completely and immediately erase all that? So we still hold a core with that with Plant, and now we've transferred it to Planteray. So some of our older bottlings, like our
Yeah,
single
we still haven't
caps,
have our single barrel. Still says Plantation.
exactly. And then all the new releases you'll see going forward, like our Sealander, which of course, Ryan gets his hands on almost before anyone else in the state or in the country, actually. Mr. Fogg, our cut and dry. This is kind of the new iteration, and all the old labels will be changing to Planteray as well.
Okay.
Does that
All
kind
right.
of answer the
Yeah.
question on it, or?
Yeah. I just, there was such a disconnect of time when it was announced. I don't even think people even it was such a
Yeah.
disarray that I don't even think people realized you were changing your name. And all of a sudden it starts showing up and they're like, what's this? Yes. Is the worldwide change,
Worldwide change.
not just US.
WWC. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's for us, again, we committed to it, right? And when we said this, people kind of got off our backs and stopped saying, oh, that name isn't appropriate. We don't like the name Plantation. We could have almost, if it was any other company or if you were someone with less integrity, you could have just said, hey, we're not going to change this name now. We said it, we pulsed it out there. It doesn't seem like we have to, but once we commit to something, we stand by it. That is the way our owner is, Alexander Gabriel. That's the way our director of sales is, Guillaume. I mean, you've worked with Guillaume for how long now? When he says something, it gets done, and
Right.
we're proud of that.
Okay. I just want to make sure that everybody understood why there was a name change. And I think you answered it perfectly.
No, thank you.
All right, that means
you're still rumming your guys' glasses. I know these.
I know,
stupid
so
heathens
I know. We better start. Let's start with the first rum. Rum.
Beautiful.
So
You just had Adrian Stoner here about a year ago. I'm sure, were some of you in the room for the Adrian Stoner class?
Yeah, there's a couple people.
Yeah, she's a genius, and she is way smarter than I am, especially in the rum world, but with many things.
No one's arguing.
But I'm going to do something a little bit different with this as well, because I'm sure some of you know these brands, and we're going to talk about the basics of these. But then also, with my background, especially because I just transferred over from an American whiskey company, this is a whiskey group, right? I'm going to correlate a lot of these rums, or hopefully explain a little bit of what the similarities are with rum and whiskey and how we can enjoy it as a sipping product, right? Because I think a lot of people still see rum as just a mixer, and a lot of what you're going to drink tonight is rum that you can casually sip and enjoy, or throw a few rocks in and enjoy it that way, right? So with us, with Planteray right here, this is a company that started in 1999. So Maison Ferrand, we're cognac producers, and we formed in 96. We have a gin called Citadel. We have tons of other products. But we begin a partnership with a company in Barbados called the West Indies Rum Company. That partnership allows us to start making rum with them, start building. As of 2017, we've acquired that facility, so we own the West Indies Rum Company. It's a massive distillery on Barbados, right on the beach. It's pretty beautiful. It's an amazing experience. If you guys are ever there, we're 5 minutes from Bridgetown. Please come join us and see what we're working on over there. And what's exciting is we started this whole project as cognac makers as a way to showcase blending of rum, but also that we can do double aging. So every single product on this table, except for this one, gets double aged. And the importance of that is we're showcasing the island aging itself. We're focusing on the territory it's from. And then we ship this to France, where our company's based. And then we'll be aging that in cognac casks for a secondary term of aging. So our entire line gets 2 kinds of aging. And then when you see the black cask stuff, that's 3 types of aging. Our owner and master blender and distiller, Alexander Gabriel, he's a genius and a mad scientist, and he thinks of some really crazy stuff. So it's exciting that we're going to be able to walk through all of this. I love starting with this product right here, Planteray 5-Year Barbados. This is a 5-year rum that does 3 years on the island of Barbados and then 2 years in France. So when we're sipping this, I like to think of something a little softer, something a little more elegant, something that you're going to get a lot of. Again, I'm never going to impart flavor notes to you all. That's not my job. I always hear we ate, you'll get pencil shavings in this. I didn't eat pencils as a kid. That's not my thing. So whatever you get as a child, whatever experiences you have, that's unique to you. So I'm never going to start imparting these things, because it's like the old Jack Daniels thing. When you say banana, you suddenly taste banana. I don't want to do that. So please tell me what some of the things you guys are tasting, and then I'll impart what specifically is in this glass, right? Ryan, what do you get on this?
Well, I do get a little bit of funk in about the mid palate, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And you get some vegetal sort of notes on that, but I'm also getting some sweeter notes, some candy, some tropical fruits in this one. Really nice.
Yeah.
And these are all the first 2 is what's I should ask you, what type of lineup is
Beautiful.
because we have a little bit of a lineup change here. So what is this lineup called?
So this is going to be more of our select series, our single island series. And when we're talking about our rums, I'm sure some of you have seen our 3 stars, which is our white rum. That's a blend of 3 islands. That's kind of our everyday mixing rum. We made these as bar classics. So besides just being phenomenal rum producers, we partner really, really tightly with the industry, the restaurant industry and the mixology community. And it goes back to our incubation. That's kind of how we've always found ourselves. A lot of companies build themselves in the off premise. You know, how this company started was in the on trade, which is bars and restaurants. So we have so many friends that own phenomenal bars, and we're a part of so many important bar programs. Your favorite cocktail bar, I guarantee, is working with us in some capacity because our products call for that. And a lot of craft cocktail bars will mix rums from different islands to get their own house rum blend. What
That
we
three,
do,
that three, that white three is like one of my go-tos to
insane.
make daiquiris, to make
Oh,
you
daiquiri
know,
is phenomenal.
those that anything that it would do, even like a mojito or anything like that. It's inexpensive. It works great, and it's better than buying some of the really big, massive white rums that are out there too.
You're so right. And the thing for us is it's a blend of three different islands, Trinidad, Barbados, and Jamaica. And that allows us to help you get all those things you need in mixing. Again, those bar classics, that's our three stars original dark, our OFTD. Those are very, very approachable price points for you all to mix with. And then the next tier up would be some of our single islands. We have our Barbados, we have our Xaymaca, which is a Jamaican one we'll drink next. We have a Fiji. Then we enter our vintage series, which we're not tasting anything tonight, but some of you have probably seen these. I think last time you tasted the Terravera Panama.
Yeah.
We have 3 releases of those every year, and those aren't single casks, but they're limited casks, which are highly selected from certain islands. Then we have our single vintages, our single casks, which are picked per store. I mean, these go to certain territories. Like you might find this here, but you might not find it in New York. So Ryan will pick a cask, and that's what speaks to him. We're going to talk about 2 of those tonight. And then we have all of our other fun stuff. But what's in the glass right here is going to be, like I said, that five-year Barbados. This is all Barbados distillate. And now, does anyone want to be brave and just give me one tasting note they get? Anybody?
I'm just going to point you, and you have to say something.
This is the worst. Honey and
What's
butter.
honey and butter?
Honey
That's
and
good.
butter. I was just watching the John Taffer brown butter episode. So now, see, that's on my mind, right? That's what happens. It imparts in there, right? But halfway through the palate ride there, you taste it. And again, you're all pros. I know you're all a group of professional heathens that drink really well. But if you're new,
Heathens, you got right.
if you're someone that honestly, don't be afraid. This is the easiest way to do it. When you're tasting spirits, it's not like wine. Don't swish it in your mouth. Don't hold it, gargle it. From 1.5 seconds from front to back of the palate, right? And when you get halfway through that ride with this specifically, I taste so much cinnamon, so much cardamom, a lot of baking spices. And again, this is also a product that you can sip and eat. You mix with it, right? I see a lot of people mixing with this,
Well,
but I wanted to just drink this.
and we'll go through prices later on, but this is under $35.
Oh,
So if you want to do something fun with this and make a mixed drink with it or anything like that, it isn't one of those, you're not breaking the bank to do so.
no.
And a lot of stuff that I like, I do tend to gravitate to less mixers, more alcohol. So I do want a premium, start getting into like premium products when I'm doing stuff, even in a mixed drink.
And what's really great about our brands as well, I'm sure you've seen this with high-end mezcals, you've seen this with some great American whiskeys. When you're looking at the back of these labels, right, we give you an entire cheat sheet to what we're doing, right? You don't have to memorize all these. I don't expect anyone to memorize all these. Hopefully, after a few years, I
expect you to remember
get down 95% of them. But I know a good friend of mine, a marketing director, still is like, what does that label say on that vintage there? And it's just, there's so many, we release so many great products. So if you ever have a question, you look to the back, it'll show you how long it's aged on the territory it's from, how long it ages in France, and it'll go over the pot still versus column still. So we're looking at a pot and column blend here. And then again, this is 80 proof. So it's just at that 40% entryway. I know.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so what we're doing is this. We are aging for 3 years on the island. And what barrels do you think those are on an island? Bourbon, right? We know the rules of bourbon allow you to age only once, so those are going everywhere. The islands have a lot of extra bourbon barrels. That's the easiest to source, easiest to buy. So those bourbon barrels.
And also pretty much the cheapest.
Absolutely. Cheapest, most available, everything, right? I always tell a story that when the Americans decided to make bourbon aged in brand new oak, the rest of the world just laughed and was like, yes, we finally have a source for barrels because you're getting them at a discounted price, right? So again, they're getting bourbon barrels, aging it for 3 years, emptying that, shipping it over, not in the barrels themselves, shipping it over in to France, and then we are then going forward with a separate aging in cognac casks, ex-cognac casks, because that's what we have in France because we were making all of our cognac in those.
Does that French limousine or
Yeah, French limousine. So again, the difference between American barrels and French oak, besides the oak itself, we work with cooperages. They work with tonneliers, just a little bit different. They plan on their barrels being used in the brandy world, not necessarily cognac, but they can be used multiple times. So there's a lot more thoughtfulness in how long these things will last. American barrels, the cooperages, they want them to last a long time, but once it's through that first initial process, it's going somewhere else. If it lasts 10 different refills, wonderful, but that first fill is the most important. While
That's
in
what
other
they're
parts of the world,
concentrating on.
exactly.
I'm,
So
fair
want to jump
enough.
to the next one here?
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody have any questions first? First of all, how'd you like that first one? Good? Bad? I hate it. Love it. Yeah. All
Please
right.
be honest. If you
Okay.
hate it, I'd love to hear why. Because again, we're talking
There's the
about
door.
rum.
It's right over there.
There's just a lot of different islands, and there's a lot of things that you might love and gravitate towards that you never even thought of. So what we're going to drink next is our Xaymaca, which is a Jamaican. So this is a single island Jamaican rum. Now, we're talking about what's on the back of these labels, right? I'm going to get into something that we're pretty comfortable with. A lot of other companies kind of shy away from the term dosage, right? It's a fancy French word for introducing sugar. They do it with champagne. They do it with a lot of wine. It is something that happens, but it's not the reintroduction. It's not like we're going to our local Big Y and just dumping in white granulated sugar and adding flavor. We're using the molasses that we distill from. It's sourced molasses. All of these products are distilled from molasses. Our goal is to showcase how beautiful that molasses is, especially, with our Barbados distillates, we purchase a large portion of all the molasses grown on that island. I was just there a couple weeks ago, so it's fresh in my mind a little bit. But what's beautiful is a lot of companies, even on the island, can't afford the extra prices of the molasses because it's much more expensive than buying regular Caribbean molasses. That's a blend of a different island. So we take pride in how much we get. Only two distilleries last year purchased the sugar, the molasses from the island, which is great. And with this right here, when we're talking about dosage, we'll look at the back of this bottle. It'll showcase exactly how much dosage that we add per liter, right? With our Xaymaca, it's 0. So you go from something a little sweeter with more elegance and roundness on the palate to a traditional Jamaican style rum, which no dosage in this, a lot of funk, a lot of this stands up, and like this is your Mai Tai rum right here. If you have something that you're making at home that has a lot of sweetness around it, coconut cream, pineapple juice, all of these things, you dump some of this dry rum in there, it's going to stand out and give you that real funky, earthy texture. It's not for everybody. I'm going to be the first and foremost to say that sometimes it scares some people, but the people that appreciate spirits and know it will say, wow, this is something that's profound and unique.
We're getting into the fall. We're getting into winter, right? So there's several things that the smell and flavor remind me of. And one of them is, do you ever tie up your evergreens, so especially your aprovites outside, and use a thing called jute rope? This is the smell that I get. As a matter of fact, I have a bag upstairs of jute rope that I'll bring it back down after if everybody wants to smell it, because because I was trying to explain to somebody, curacao is another one that people that they say that there's that, that funk, opening up a can of black olives.
Yeah.
That's another one.
Yeah.
Canned black olives. But the one I think it hits the most to me is jute rope. And it's just this sort of loose twine that you use, so it won't cut the branches. It'll expand a little bit, but in the snow in New England, you don't lose your branches of your, especially like your evergreens and stuff like that when it gets a lot of snow on them. I'll bring some down, so if anybody wants to smell it, you can put that in your memory banks, and it's a good one to pull out because it does show up, especially when you start doing rums.
It's actually a really good point. I've never heard that contrast before, and it has that focus on that. So
what do you guys? Yeah. All right. So these are all. I just have to repeat for everybody that's listening on the webs and the interwebs. Are these all 80?
So we're looking at 80 proof. We're looking at the single casks can obviously be closer to barrel strength. And then each other thing, like we have our Navy strength rum later. We have, this is 80 proof. The Xaymaca is 81, I believe, 83. No, it's 86, exactly.
86.
So we're looking at 86 proof. But for us, it's where we want it to stand up again when it's being mixed, right? The higher proof you go, think about when you're mixing with whiskeys, you kind of want a bottle and bond bourbon in your cocktail, especially if there's citrus.
Like 100 proof.
Yeah, you
you
want
can
something to
really taste
dominate.
it. Right.
When it's 86 proof, just those 6 degrees higher than 80 give you a little more pack in the punch there. But
Proof should always be done, except for like commercially available stuff like that you're putting out there, which is mostly 80 because, anything below that starts falling out of category as a flavored or anything like that. But anything really should be done as to what the producer feels there that shows the best out of the bottle. So whatever that may be, like I said, they shouldn't be arbitrary numbers. They should be numbers that sort of fit what you're trying to do.
I listened to you wax poetically one time about blending and how important it is because people look down on blending, whether like it's be an 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old whiskey, and people are like, oh, we're all about age. We're all about having an older age product. But you say, no, you have people that work for you that want this to taste exactly the same that it did last time. And that's very important to think about because we have a team that says we want this to taste exactly the way it tasted before. How do we get there regardless of age? Because I'm sure a lot of you in this room are ageist, and as you should be, because a lot of the older stuff sometimes is what's put forward the best. But as the spirits world's evolving, we're seeing some great products across the entire spirit category that are 8 years old, that are 9 years old. And in the Caribbean, especially in like Barbados, where it's really hot and you get all these different temperature fluctuations, it ages definitely double the time that's in Kentucky. So 4 years in a barrel down there is closer to 8 years in a barrel up here. And that's just how it works because the heat
The
and
angel share,
right? We're looking at 8 to 10% angel share on different islands.
Now, do you state where, like, this is Jamaican? We know it's Jamaican.
Yep.
So, but it's all Jamaican. Do you get this from a very specific distillery in Jamaica?
Great question. So every distillery we work with will be listed. But with Barbados, we own that distillery. We own West Indies Rum. That's ours as of 2017. And we are partners in 2 distilleries on Jamaica, Clarendon and Long Pond. So last year, Adrian spoke very deeply about that. That's our partnership. We have a little bit of investment.
Long Pond does some really funky stuff.
Oh, amazingly funky stuff. And it's run by a wonderful woman named Martha, the first woman in Jamaica to be CEO of a distillery. It's phenomenal. Now, what's also great is we're talking about Jamaican rum. We're talking about culture and history and all the way they enjoy to drink it. That funk is unique to them. While you'll get funk in a lot of other rums, when you're thinking of, Smith and Cross or Ray and Nephew in these products, you expect those volatile compounds and, the esters to be forward. So I'm coming from the whiskey world where we distill out all of those impurities, right? And when you're drinking American whiskey, and Ryan, please jump in on this whenever you want to. When you're drinking American whiskey, a lot of what's done, and specifically bourbon, is in the warehouse. That's the beautiful piece of it, right? You get those years where you're on 7 levels of Ricks and things are placed in different spots. Now that's very, very important in the rum world, but we're talking about molasses beforehand. We're talking about the agriculture, where the fermentation happens, whether it's open tank, whether it's closed tank, what the temperatures can be like. Our distillery.
Oh, you were talking even a higher percentage about for this one, you were talking about the high percentage of yeast.
Exactly.
And like what you're using for yeast and how you're getting your yeast, whether it's wild yeast or what you're doing. I mean, there's some funky ways that they get yeast.
Oh yeah,
which is great. What's that? Dunderbacken,
exactly.
yeah, Dunderbacken,
exactly.
Yeah.
You're having these massive vats and dunder pits where you're just injecting little shots of it into your fermentation just to push it along. The same reason why people in America still pretty much use barley in their bourbon recipes, because the barley helps incubate the fermentation process.
Malted barley
Pushes it along, right? So for us, with rum, a lot of that, I always go by the distiller's rule of thumb for bourbon. That's what I've always been taught. That's what my old boss Bernie would talk about. And it varies to be a lot more before the distillation and in the distillation with rum than it does with American whiskey. And that's kind of the different nuances. Not much, but a lot. So what do we think about the Jamaican rum?
Jamaican me crazy? What? No, like, okay, so here, this is like usually a defining moment, okay? Who likes the funk?
Who likes
Likes
the
the
funk?
funk. Who
All
does not
right.
like the funk?
Okay.
Okay. This is where we leave you. No, no, I'm just saying. No, but that's real. That is sort of a thing. So I always sort of like bring this into the point when we talk about whiskey, especially when we talk about scotch. This is where we talk about peated and
Yes.
unpeated. All
Yes.
right, because it's a defining sort of characteristic that not everybody likes, and there can be varying degrees of that, of the funkiness in there and stuff like that. But that's sort of like you're on this side or that side. So there's no wrong answer. It's just personal preference, what you like and what you don't like. The weird part is a lot of times, just like Pete, the longer you're in like a category, you tend to adapt your flavor and tend to move across that line. So the longer you're in drinking rum, you may find one day you go, you know what, I really sort of do like that funk.
Yep.
And that's how we get you. So, anyways, but
No,
that's
our Belize vintage from this year, it honestly has a bourbon drinker's nose, a bourbon drinker's taste, but it has a little bit of that funk. High esters, volatile compounds, right? You're tasting and you go, oh wait, I can see it's an entryway to the funk. It's it's like the doorway peeks open and you hear a bunch of trumpets and horns going through. You go, okay, here we go. This is how we get in.
I'll give you the whiskey equivalent. It's Highland Pete. Which
point.
doesn't have that much of that iodine, that camp, fresh Band-Aid sort of. It all sounds terrible, doesn't it?
It does sound terrible.
But for those who know. So it's really cool.
No, what I did was sit at my bar in Boston, Citizen Public House, when I first started. I was a young bar manager, and I would just sit there and drink Ardbeg before every shift, one pour, and that's how I fell in love with Isla. Here we go. So
jeez, at that point, you might as well just had some some of the Chicago handshake test, the Malort, and then you've been done with it.
Oh God, let's get going on Malort. So we're gonna go from some of our classic stuff, single islands, to now we're going into our single cast projects. So these are both lock and key, right?
Yeah, they are.
Great. And what happens is we get offered these per territory. Some can be the same as other territories around the country, and we share casks a little bit, and then we kind of spread them out. So Ryan won't have something that someone has in New York, or it's across the country. That's with the intention of it. And what we're going to be drinking is an '08 Guyana, right? So we're going to drink a rum from Guyana. Some of you probably haven't even had a rum from Guyana, and then we're going to drink. Obviously, it's 9.5 years on the island, and then it does a year and a half in our casks in cognac, and then we do a finish for another year in Pinot de Chiron cask. So Pinot de Chiron is a dessert wine, fortified wine.
French dessert, fortified
French
wine.
dessert. We make one. It's very unique. Very, you keep it in the fridge. Same rule. If you have vermouth open at home, I better be in the fridge. Pinot de Chiron's the same way, and it just has a lot of sweetness, a lot of nuttiness, a lot of those characteristics. Again, something I've listened to many times Ryan talk about. When you're aging, say you're aging whiskey in a tropical rum cask, right? You get that the first 2 months to 3 months is where you're going to get a lot of those flavors, and then you're just getting a lot of extra aging. When you're getting something that's a dessert wine or something that's a little more rich, it might be a little bit longer those flavors are being imparted because it might coat the inside of that barrel a little bit longer because we're talking about something with a little more texture and a little more density, a little more flavor. So being inside that Pinot de Chiron cask for a year not only adds a little more age, but you're getting a lot of that sweetness and a lot of that flavor. So,
well, it integrates better.
Exactly.
I mean, even if you get your shot of what you're going to get for flavor, so in the first 2-3 months, you're going to get whatever that barrel's going to give you in flavor, you're going to get, right? But that doesn't mean the flavor that's in there that you drew out of the barrel is necessarily where you want it. Okay, it may taste a little weird, but you've gotten it all. Now you need to let it mellow out and actually integrate with the barrel. And then after that, there's also time. All right. So there's no substitute for it. Over time, it's still gonna be aging, and because it's still in a barrel, and it's gonna start changing. And you want those flavors to start integrating, and then you start pulling that out when you feel it's ready.
So when we're drinking this right here, again, we're talking about the label gives you the cheat code, right? We're drinking pot still distillate from Guyana. There, I believe, is only one distillery on this island. It's DDL, Demerara Distillers Limited. We work really, really closely with them.
What type of still do they use? Do you know?
Pot still.
Pot still?
Yeah, so this is all pot still distillate. And this is an overall 12-year product. So we have that 9.5 initial aging on the island. Again, this is confusing. So if you get lost, do not be, we can talk about this many, many times. 9.5 on the island, a year and a half in cognac barrels in France, and that extra year of aging in the Pinot de Chiron cask. So another important thing to talk about is when we're jumping from barrel to barrel, you're getting a refresh, right? It's getting some air, it's getting dumped, it's opening up, going into another barrel. The entry point in those first few months in those barrels are also very important, right? It's like when you're using brand new oak, they'll always say the first year to year and a half is almost the most important time in aging bourbon because it's getting all of that new oak. It's kind of similar when you're dumping it into a new barrel. If it hasn't been used 50 times and it's not completely stripped, you're going to get a lot of flavor out of this. So it's nice to experience something that gets contact with a different type of oak so many times. This is
What do you guys think of this one? Not good. You know what's funny? It's like this one always gets me. I thought I hit the finish. You know, you get the middle palate, you get the finish, and then there's another finish. Did you notice that? Like you weren't right. You thought you were done. You know, it's just like I tried to get out and they pulled me back in again. You know,
It dips,
but it
hits,
does.
peaks again.
It peaks again. You get like, that's it, and they go, oh, wait a minute, there's more.
I'm gonna,
What's
yeah.
that? It's the encore.
Great call. I'll call it the encore from now on.
Yeah, it's really good. I like this one a
I'm
lot.
stealing that from you, can I? Is that all right?
Listen,
All right.
I any of the barrels we picked, just so you guys know, we've skipped barrels. We've skipped like, picking stuff like we've had. If nothing really, if it doesn't move us or the guys like Johnny picks a lot of stuff with us, Gio, Randall. If it doesn't hit us in the right way, we'd rather move on and try something else in another year or another group of barrels come in. Yes, Lisa.
I'm
What
gonna
is
have
the
to look
proof
at
on
this
this
one
one?
exactly
The proof
here.
is
Private cask. We're looking at 47.6% ABV. We're looking at.
yeah.
Every time.
Everything's on the
Every
everything's
time.
on the bottle, pretty much. Yeah. What did you guys think? You like that one though? It's really cool, right?
I mean, again, we'll talk a little about this while we're tasting. We're talking about all molasses distillates here, right? And the molasses and sugar trade is pretty volatile around the world. When we're talking about certain countries that are just producing as much sugar as possible, it gets pretty dicey. There's, a lot of things that can, be environmentally unsound, can be unsafe for people. You can have, underage workers, all these things. So when we're working with all of these companies, we work with all of these molasses trade. It's verified, Bon Sucre certified, right? That's very important. And you would think it would just be a benchmark, but it's not. I'm not going to mention any regions of the world, but we don't work with specific regions because they don't have any sugarcane or molasses that's sourced
It's
ethically.
sort of like fair trade type stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's a big piece because it really is. It's a dirty business sometimes. So all of this molasses and all this is ethically sourced, which is very important. Now we're going to go from something that I think it has a little bit more of that sweetness. And again, we're very proud of listing everything on the bottle. So we list the dosage on the back. We list those esters and volatile compounds. We're going to be and again, the age is right there in the front. So we're going to be sliding over to a Panama distillate. Now, I bet you even less of you have had Panama rum, right? Maybe some of you have, but it's going to be a different terroir. It's going to be a different flavor profile. And I know the wine people in the room are going to stab me for stealing it for a spirits where they used to get so mad when I would use it with bourbon, but it makes even more sense with rum because the islands can be so unique. The fermentation process on the island can be different based on temperature, based on what they have. I mean, a lot of the stills that we use at West Indies rum can be almost 150 years old.
I will
200
make sure
years old.
my friend Robin Robinson does not get upset about this. This is Provence and not terroir.
I love that you brought him up. He's one of the best. I've drank with that man to 3 a.m. way too many times.
Who hasn't? I think he's still drinking now. Robin, are you drinking right now? He's probably gonna say this.
So this is a triple age right here. This is a product that we've done in the past. It's Pouliot casks. So red wine casks. This gets 10 months in those casks. So 8 years in bourbon, 1 year in Ferrand, and then 10 months in the Pouliot casks. So it's going to add a little bit of that tannic flavor, be a little bit, maybe a little drier. But what we're going to expect is a little less sweetness, obviously, because Pinot de Chiron focuses on that sweetness. I don't want to impart anything, but if you have anything left in your last glass, which I highly doubt you do, I have a little bit. If you just look at the color change, and This is a younger product of Panama. It's darker.
Yeah,
Right?
that's why one of the things if you notice, it's got a red tinge to it too.
Yep.
Never, that's one of the things. Be careful about judging your liquid by color
Very great point.
because it can. I've had some of the strongest things I've ever had that you'd swear look like just this shy of water,
I can't remember what
and it's just
episode it
like,
was
oh
on.
my god, I can't remember. I can remember.
There was an episode that you went on one of your other poetic rants about how the age and people judge too frequently age based on color. And this is a beautiful thing when you're not adding color, when you're not adding those kinds of things, and you get natural organic oak, you can almost taste it in there. And this is a lot of that red tinge you're going to get from the Pouliot cask. Yes.
You'd really taste that wine on the finish.
Great question. We're looking at 49.7%. We haven't hit the depth charges yet. I know a lot of you all like the hazmat Elijah Craig's and all that stuff. We're gonna get to some heat in a bit.
We have just a very little of this left. This was an older cask. We have very little of this one left. So if you do like this one, don't hesitate to grab one of these tonight because it won't be around that long.
Yeah, you know what's beautiful about this too, and I hate to impart flavor profiles. Like the last one, I would get that sugar cookie on the encore. You got that like real like confectionery sugar taste on the end. With this, you get so much dryness from the red wine in the finish. It's actually like you're drinking a glass of red wine, which is beautiful.
Yeah. You guys like this one?
Yeah. Who likes the first single cask more? Okay.
Okay.
And then the rest of the room is leaning towards the second. Okay. And half of you just don't care.
That's
But
why
I
there's
like
Coke,
it,
Pepsi, and Royal Crown Cola.
Exactly.
You know, as something for everybody.
But again, Ryan's been a phenomenal partner across the entire time, whether it be with my last company and with this. He's worked with Sean, with Guillaume on purchasing single casks. So I know single casks have become something that are somewhat of a fad. You can't always trust people's palates. It's per store, right? And maybe you align with that store owner's choices more. I know for a fact that I can guarantee that Ryan's palate is appealing to the crowd he presents to. So a lot of the time
I don't pick by my personal taste.
Yeah.
I pick for you.
Which is great. I mean, I always end up buying a cask of whatever it is from this store.
Actually, we do have that. We do have a bottle of that. So, but
That's for
XL.
the after hours tasting when the lights go down. Let's not talk about that right now. All right, so don't hold me.
No lights are going down.
Yeah,
There's no weird
staying
stuff
up.
going on here.
I light jump party. Ryan's trying to go. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, after dark. There'll be no after dark. There'll be no taking off of the clothes. No one wants to see that.
Definitely not. So I would hope if this wasn't live, I would hope we all keep this to ourselves a little because I am not an expert on this product yet. Typical Julio's fashion here. This is a product that we haven't even launched yet, but Ryan has some bottles in stock, so this is not available.
How did that happen? I have no idea.
He held Steve Campbell by the ankles over a toilet and waterboarded them for bottles. But this is an interesting product.
Steve gets his kids back now. It's awesome. So
this is a 3-island blend. We're looking at Mauritius, we're looking at Barbados, and we're looking at Fiji. Now, we will talk about our historian style of business and how we dive deep into the history of all the products we release in a little bit when we talk about the Mr. Fogg. But we're kind of known for understanding our history and truly, truly showcasing the history of our products. So if any company it's not just me saying it, you can trust a lot of the time when we say, we think this is accurate. We are almost positive there has never been a blend of these 3 islands before, right? This is called the Sealander, and it's because we're bringing together 3 different oceans in this bottle, right? There's the Atlantic Ocean, there is the South Pacific, and there's the Indian Ocean, which all touch these islands, these 3 different islands. And we're almost convinced that no one has blended Mauritius, Fiji, or Barbados together. And that's kind of our goal, to create something new, to create a new flavor profile and showcase something unique and special. This is only the second time I'm trying this product, so I'm excited to do it in this room with you all. And again, I have very tough skin. I sold American whiskey for 8 years. Let me know what you think about this. I'm interested to hear. I want to know how I can argue back at different tastings. This is the exact group I want to know what you think.
Aberana cask.
So what's so funny you say that? I'm not gonna quote on this. I believe them. Again, anyone watching, don't hold me to this. The Mauritius cask, I think, has Amberana. I will send a quick text out while we're all talking and get an answer to you. But the Amberana, when we did we were at our sales meeting in Montreal, gathered together, and the word Amberana got brought up multiple times. I was probably just hungover and it got lost in the trade somewhere. But the word Amberana got brought up many times, and I'm getting that wood every time I taste it. Great call out. Very good
I think
call
it's
out.
also we look anytime you sort of get that flavor profile. You think maybe somebody just dumped a spice rack on something. That would be it.
Yeah.
The
The spice rack every time.
kind of a ride, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But what's the what ABV on this one?
This is gonna be, I believe. Wow.
But it actually, what I like about it is it actually goes past that spice.
80.
It goes past that spice bomb, and then like right after it, you get sort of like another flavor pops up, which I would equate it to like almost like a honey. It's like a honey flavor. Yeah, molasses
Yes.
cookie. I can see that. Gingerbread. I get more of like and maybe Ben will sort of. I get more of a honey sort of flavor at the end.
I am
At
not
the end though.
overtly familiar with Mauritius distillate. I don't drink a lot of it. I don't see a lot of it.
That's because there isn't much of it.
We're starting to work.
You don't have to see it because there's not around.
We're starting to work a lot. Donald has one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're starting to see it more, and I'm really enjoying what I'm tasting because you get a lot of that heavy spice, and you get a lot of that like spice bomb in your mouth. And while I love Jamaican rum and I love that funk, I love when you get rum that has natural spice characteristics to it. It really showcases how
No one
deep it's
added
buried.
any
No.
spice to this. It's all done within the either the distillation or the maturation.
Exactly.
That's where you're getting the flavors.
Anyone have any opinions on this? Are they enjoying it? This is like
Yes, no, maybe.
this is like a test group.
No. Yes.
One thumbs up. Not
One
enjoying
thumbs up.
it.
Terrible. I don't like it.
Too much spice.
It's
What are you
okay.
getting?
What's that? Yes, it is.
Yep.
It is available.
Too much spice.
I get
not
more than
enough
one
spice?
bottle.
Okay. Beautiful. All right. You can.
Yeah.
you can-
Oh, wait a minute. Yes
Exactly.
and no. They're going. I want to see who goes home with the bottle. because
Exactly. That's what
I got a couple here. The one's yes and the other one's no, and that's always great. Where are we spending our money tonight, dear? Not on that. Oh, I think you're wrong. Good thing we
Man.
took separate cars.
Planteray brings people together, brings families closer.
No,
we don't want to push you to separate bedrooms. That's what I'm trying to avoid.
That's
here.
okay. Don't worry about it. They'll survive. What's that? Separate liquor cabinets. Not separate beds. We have separate liquor cabinets. That solves a lot of problems. I can tell you right now.
But I also don't want everyone, again, ideally in a
We'd make
beautiful
one
world.
type if everybody liked that.
Exactly.
It'd be one type of rum up here. It'd be real easy and boring tasting. Here it is.
I have
Drink it
been
up.
doing this for my entire adult life. It's my job to taste things and find things that I enjoy in every product. And that's what I can do, right? Ryan can do the same thing. Or you just sometimes just absolutely hate something, and that's okay. But it's how do you sell it? How do you talk about it as a consumer? And when I hear someone say, this is why I don't enjoy it, that's beautiful because I hope you enjoy something else along the way. That's why there is so much variety and so much depth.
I will point this out to you. This is something you should always remember. It's like my kid says, like, don't dish somebody else's yum or whatever it is. But remember, you can not like something but appreciate what it is. So you say like that's it's the same thing. That's not my cup of tea.
Beautiful.
But I can always understand why other people like it.
Absolutely.
I understand how it's made. I understand the quality. I understand all of these things. It's just not something that appeals to me.
Beautiful point.
And you know what I mean? You don't have to say like, oh my God, how could anybody drink that? With the exception of maybe Malort. Then you could say that. But other than that, you really, take it easy. It's okay. There's a seat for every ass, right? So somebody will you don't like it, somebody else does. So don't worry about it.
I will say our packaging is absolutely gorgeous on this too.
It is
As you see,
cool.
It's our
It
newest
is really
product.
cool.
It's really fun to go through a
get
name
some?
change.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you. It's fun to go through a name change and
Thank
be able to showcase a beautiful package back to back to back like this. It's kind of an exciting thing.
And they're all different too. It's just
Absolutely.
kind of cool. All right, so that's
now
what's
we're going to jump into something that's really great. And I am biased on this. So like I said, I ran a whiskey bar back in Boston many, many years ago. I worked for Heaven Hill for 8 years. I'm doing sales. I'm, now been a whiskey educator, but this has always been a portfolio that I've been obsessed with, right? And then the opportunity comes along to work with them. It's amazing. The reason you fall in love with certain things is, again, everyone's has their own. But what speaks to me is integrity, is passion. My owner, Alexander, Alexander's a genius, right? And he cares about these things so much. We create amazing products like this with history and with depth. Our focus on this is it's not a Navy strength rum, it's a Navy rum. So this is a limited time offering. We're releasing it once a year. Hopefully we're going to continue to do this. I know we have number 2 already planned, and each year is going to be a little bit different. Initially it was supposed to be, but with the launch of this, it was so well received. I think we're going to try to keep it as close to this as possible. But the focus is to showcase not just that Navy strength is a thing. Navy rum follows the trade routes of what was working with the naval systems and how sailors were being allotted a certain amount of rum each day. And along with the history of that, we've worked with Matt Pietrek, and we get this book right here, Exploring 300 Years of Navy Rum and Its Techniques, right? This launched with this, and this is our duty to showcase how beautiful the history is with Navy rum and educate people. This is it's a deep read. There's a lot going on, but even if you pick certain parts and go through it, it's great. Alexander went through the last part of this, and he actually wrote the last 50 pages just talking about rum techniques, distillation, all of these things. If you could find and get your hands on it, it's a fun little bedside rum table guide, right? And it goes
put you right to sleep.
Yeah, it goes over so many things. I will lie to you and say I made my way through it already, but I haven't. But it's just a great way to show the history in these things. And it's very important because the American military was giving out rations to our soldiers up into the 70s of American whiskey, right? So the fact that we're talking about, Navy around the world, British naval forces being allotted a certain amount of rum, and we all assume it's just some trash rum, right? Something that's disgusting. We find out it's actual beautifully blended rum with intent and with integrity, and the certain proof at it is where it lights with gunpowder, right? That's the whole history on that note. But it doesn't have to be blow your face off proof. This is the proof they wanted that, but also the blending and trade routes of where they were going and who they were working with. This is probably one of my favorite products ever produced by us. It's, again, a spice bomb. It drives you forward. It's hot. We're talking about
but the finish on it is like the first bite into Big Red.
Yep.
Big Red gum.
111.4 proof. Again, I know you're all, like I said earlier, professional heathens. I trust you all, but 111.4 proof is a little hotter than anything we drank tonight. It is a 4-island blend. We're talking about Barbados. It lists them on the side here: Barbados, Trinidad, Guyana, and at the end, Jamaica. That's pretty much the order it goes in percentage of what's added. And then what's unique about this product is we talked about Dunder Pits earlier, which is a highly concentrated, like high ester ferment. What we add of the Jamaica is a very, very little bit of Jamaica, but it's a very, very high potent ester bomb. So it adds a lot of that funk in one big injection. That's kind of what the blend adds. So please enjoy.
But here's where the funk doesn't take over. The funk sort of like is truly integrated, and even though this has got a lot of big flavor, it is actually pretty balanced. It's pretty balanced, right? No, it doesn't drink as hot, but it's a really well balanced rum. Yes, sir. Were they all individually done at each island and then shipped to France?
They were all aged on their own islands and then blended either in Barbados or in France. Predominantly, probably France is where the blending gets done. But, the big thing for us, too, is, again, sticking to that initial island blend aging. The rum has to be aged there first, right? And then we're finishing it or aging it a little bit longer in France.
And then blending it.
So this is probably being blended and aged in that big vat we have. That's why it's going to be kind of different every year. It's not a Solera style of aging, but we're keeping a little bit from last year, then adding new blends. That's our focus. That's our goal. Great question, though, because we still want the important terroirs from the aging on that island. That's the goal of this. Also, we talk about cinnamon bomb. We talk about spice. The proof's there, but it doesn't drink like 111 necessarily. Like, I've had way too many shots of this. I know I'm an animal. I'll admit it, but it's wonderful. And we talked about daiquiris earlier. Please use the term DTO, daiquiri timeout, no snackeries. We're not a snack. That's for New York. Leave it for them. That's what these stickers are. Grab one on your way out, right? But when we're talking about a daiquiri with this, you again, like we said, vermouth in the fridge. If you take nothing from this seminar, fresh lime juice always. The secret is fresh citrus, right? Then use some Demerara syrup. So you do 2 parts this, 1 part lime, 1 part rum. Shake the crap out of it, get it real nice and frothy. Pour it into a coupe glass. Makes one of the best daiquiris I've ever had in my entire life. It's beautiful. I'll probably have one tonight. I said I wasn't drinking this week, but this crowd already got me all fired up. So, what do we think?
What do you guys like it? Yeah, really cool, right? It does. It's not bad. That's best New England compliment you can get.
What do you think, Rod?
I like it a lot.
All right.
I think it's really good. It's one of those type of things. I love that. I love that really high cinnamon. What's really weird is a lot of people don't. We sell hot sauce upstairs, and we talk about the heavy spice, and the one that never makes anybody's list as being like hot and gives you that sort of real spice shot is ginger and cinnamon, and they're hot.
They are.
And that comes across as you get that sort of like, but it's like again, and you get that funk with it, but it's really integrated and it's a really well balanced product. I don't go for like big, big flavors like that lean only in one direction. Like we talk about spice bombs, we talk about all that stuff. That's fine, but you'll find in your life when you're drinking, you'll go back to more stuff that's well balanced than you will the things that lean too heavily in one direction.
Absolutely.
All right. So I like it. I think it's really cool.
Well,
you guys like it?
Everyone's
yes,
fan.
Right,
so
right,
again,
right.
There's only a very limited amount left. We had our allocation. We sold out nationally already. Whatever's out there is out there, but there will be more next year. So I hope you all become fans and collect it. This is what's going to go in my. I'm not good at many things. I'm actually bad at most things. My holiday eggnog is like the only thing I pride myself in. This will be my eggnog base here.
Nice.
This is next year. We're gonna go. I don't know what the last pour is, so I'm surprised on that one.
All right. So the next one is
the next one's our cut and dry. So has everyone in this room seen our Stiggins, our pineapple rum? So what we launched in 2016, 2017 is our Stiggins pineapple rum, right? We are cognac makers by trade. We love to really get the intricacies of things right. We're a little bit nerdy. We care about the depth of the profile. So we take our pineapples, our Queen Victoria pineapples, we slice them, we let them macerate in 2 different types of our rum. Then we marry it together after a certain amount of weeks and we get our pineapple rum. It became a cult following. And natural pineapple with no flavoring added, nothing, doesn't really give you an overall like dull pineapple juice flavor, especially when you're using a lot of.
It's dry and flavorful. It tastes like pineapple. It's dry and flavorful, but it's not sweet.
Exactly. That's it, right on the head, right? You get the essence of pineapple, I say. So then years later, we launch our coconut. In this 700 essentially is
bring it down.
Is 1 coconut per bottle, essentially, right? So we have been growing more. I was just there a couple weeks ago. We already have little coconut trees growing. These trees put out probably around 150 to 200 coconuts a year per tree. We have to grow so many more to keep up with the demand of this. So originally it launched as an allocated product, but this is our cut and dry coconut rum. This is, I've done so well of not swearing on this podcast. It's amazing.
You can.
But this is our fuck you to flavored rums. That's what it is. Oh, I can't what?
Oh, sorry. Now we're off.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
This is our FU flavored rums.
A friend of mine she holds the record.
Oh, all right, good. I'm doing well. Usually, wow. But question? It's an almond, great hit. Almond Joy in a glass. It's beautiful. And again, it's not like a lot of these other ones where you sip them. This is 1 coconut per bottle, essentially. This is what natural coconut tastes like when it's added into a product like this. I can show you videos of what we're doing in Barbados. And this product is the only product on the table that is only aged in Barbados, not finished or aged in anything else in cognac, because we want it to be a product of the island itself.
Is it steeped in the coconut the entire time, or is
finished with a coconut after the aging?
After the aging, okay. Now this is also dry too. So now the question begs: Have you put the Stiggins and this together and made a pina colada dry?
I mean, I've seen so many riffs on that so far. This has only been out since March. I've seen that people try everything. It's wonderful, right? What this is surprisingly great with is
And by the way, I missed the smoky one. By the way, I'm just gonna point that out there.
the Teeling. We partner with a lot of people. We had a Teeling smoky finished pineapple, which was great. This is phenomenal in a Negroni. Surprisingly, it stands up well with because coconut and Campari always go really well. You'll see a lot of people fat wash Campari with coconut. So the combo of these two together, I mean, we talk about luxury cocktail bars. I don't want to throw any names out there, but we were just at one of the best cocktail bars in New York the other night, and that's their main cocktail right now. It's a cut and dry Negroni. And that's like kind of the beautiful piece of it. It's like you can play with it so many ways. And because of that sweetness, that natural sweetness in there, it fills the void of a sweetener sometimes. So you can cut it out in a daiquiri a little bit, and you can use this 3/4 parts with the pineapple itself, throw some of this in here, and you still get the coconut essence. So cheers to you all. Honestly, thank you all for joining and listening to me rant for an hour.
Oh, we're not done.
Well, no, I'm about to be surprised now.
I will say, so primarily we are a whiskey club, and we are a club. The Lock and Key Society is primarily still a club, even though that's what we do under our picks and all that stuff. And we have some of our members bring us stuff back. We're doing tastings like this. Maison, thank you very much for bringing this one in. Maison is probably one of our biggest contributors. The other one here tonight is Rick over there. He does a lot of these things too. Barbados, this is the Barbados Lock and Key. Barbados, 10-year-old, matured 6 months in American barrel-aged Imperial Stout beer cask. And I can tell you, this is Black Ops from Brooklyn. So Brooklyn Brewery, which they don't even make anymore.
Nope.
It's gone. And so this was done, let me see if I can get it, 4 years in bourbon casks on the island, and then 5.5 years in Pierre Ferrand cask, and then another 6 months in the American Black Ops barrel. Yeah, this is like, you have it. This one you cannot get.
This product is
so this is gone.
Yeah, I have a bottle at home.
I can too. I do have a bottle at home too. But for general consumption, it's not available. So try it and see what you guys think.
So while we're sipping the special treat too, does anyone have any notes on this cut and dry? Does anyone absolutely love it? Nice. I love it.
Everybody actually hate it.
Did anyone hate it?
It's okay.
All right.
Like again. Yeah. Yes. Is it the coconut meat that you're using in it?
So great question. So the question was what we're using for the coconut pieces. So I just got to see what we were growing, and we're, overripe coconuts. A lot of the time we were buying overripe coconuts from the farm. We slice them. We use the meat itself. The water washes off, so we don't use the water. A lot of the times when they're overripe, there's no water inside at all. So it's not being utilized. We don't have to worry about what to use for the next. And then we're also using a little bit of the outside of the shell, which gives it a little bit of that earthiness. But the meat, like if you watch, there's a beautiful video that goes over how we're making it online. And you'll see them scoop it through the rum, but then it sits in there and macerates for a while as well.
Well, thank you, sir.
Again, this is what we do. We're proud to be nerds. We're proud to be good. We're proud to care about product, and to release something like this that is, a flavored rum essentially that puts out such beautiful flavor, but still is all natural with a coconut per bottle. And that's what we're going to continue to do as a company that has this.
What do you guys think? Like it? Yeah. What do you guys think? What do you guys think of the old Barbados one?
This is outstanding.
Isn't that cool? You guys just still have a couple of bottles. There you go. All right, for the last one, I don't think he gave me us one yet. We're getting close. I can actually take care of us right here.
Oh, look at this. VIP service.
Is there nothing? It's cold still. I'll tell you that. All right, I'll wait for he gets us. He won't bring us to us, but there we go.
Thanks,
want to try that?
Yeah.
All right, just for a special treat tonight, because I have to say this weekend, it's the Saturday before Thanksgiving. This weekend we got a ton of things going on, and I wanted to bring your attention. We have there's stuff going there's stuff all week. There's something every night this week. So tomorrow night there's a wine tasting. Friday night there's Oxbow Brewery is going to be here. Saturday, we got stuff going on Saturday. One of the things we're doing on Saturday is we're actually doing all of our beer. It's at 2, I think, o'clock in the afternoon, I think, or 1 o'clock. I can't remember, 2. We're doing all of our beer releases that we have up to date that are still available. And what's really cool is actually 2 of them just came in. And wanted everybody to get to try tonight, since you were all going to be here, is Buffalo Trex. This is bourbon barrel aged imperial stout with coffee and chocolate. We finish off that coconut, and we would do this. These are all aged in lock and key barrels. You can probably guess one by the name, but we figured you guys could try this tonight and see what you think.
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
You remember when KBB was the only thing you can get?
Mhm.
Like 2011
Mhm.
Kentucky bourbon barrel. What was that? All Tech Brewing?
Yeah. 11.6%.
Nice.
So cheers to everybody. I want to thank Rich for being here tonight.
Thank you all very much.
I want to say goodbye to everybody. You guys stay. I want to say goodbye to everybody on Facebook. It was really cool. You should have been here. You have to do that sometime. Come down and see us on a Whiskey Wednesday. In this case, a Whiskey Wednesday gone wild. You can check us out on It's the Liquor Talking wherever you get your podcasts. Cousin Vinny will get that up. Thank you very much.